the idea was how we can connect emotionally all across India, across the world as an Indian. So what virtual events does is connecting as a one, which is practically only possible even if any on ground event which is there with 10,000, 20,000, we are there with only our set of friends of 100, 200. But here we are connected, and there is a lot of connection which happens into the virtual event. What matters on what you said, I would like to add some points over here. So what matters in the virtual event is creativity. What creativity you are putting in, right? What is the event all about, right? So there, as you have explained, that there are three types of events: some on-ground events converting into a virtual event, some event because they are not happening getting converted to virtual event, and some are pure virtual events. And we are from a pure virtual event perspective. So what creativity and what kind of a spice you can put in, right? So that people get engaged, because customer always look, when we say about customer or the runners, and as you said, they require a masala, they require something exciting. Whereas on ground running is pure running, and I'm firmly believer of on ground running. I do a lot of on ground running, right? But at the same point of time, we also need to understand that, what kind of a creativity and spice up you can do, so that there is a something different, running from point A to point B same time. But what all we can associate, like Indian running day is one, father's run is another thing, celebrating the fatherhood. So that we have every month 2 to 3 virtual events, and that is not happening because of the COVID-19. We are doing it from last 2.5 years, and we believe on that. Second is, what is the organizer's commitment towards the event, right? What is the kind of a commitment an organizer is bringing on the front? Like when Tata Mumbai Marathon does a virtual run, it is a commitment of an organizer. And as you rightly said, that there are a lot of, very easy entry barrier. I'm seeing it, the flooding of the events, right? And so that commitment of organizer towards the virtual event is very much important, because if you are not committed, you are not able to deliver the medals on time or the t-shirts on the time, it's always going to be a bad name for the organizer, and people will not join you into the later events. Then about the consistency, how consistent you are as an organizer about virtual. So we have Sirens Virtual as a separate entity out of Sirens, which is totally dedicated to a virtual events. And it is not only about virtual events of involving runners, it is about, doing a lot of, training and other things. So it is not only about, doing an event and making money out of it. Obviously, everybody works to get that. But at the same point of time, what is your commitment towards the runner and the running fraternity? So when I talk about consistency, are you giving some kind of an add-on in terms of their athletes training? Are you able to sort out their problems when they are doing it virtually? So that comes to my fourth point of customer service, right? So it's a very, very important, because you are not seeing any physical thing. So customer service will be a key differentiator between one organizer and to the other organizer. Over a period of time, all these fly-by-night operator, or it will filter it down. When we move forward 6 months, 12 months down the line, people will know, okay, these are the 3 top virtual organizers, right? And then people will go with them. It will filter it down over a period of time. So customer service is one of the key aspects. Are you quick to respond to the customer? If somebody has got some confusion, are you able to sort it out? Or are you putting it on the website? And finally, the content, the entire content and the package, right? So is it because of the virtual run? We also do a lot of free virtual runs, right? Where we don't even charge a single penny out from the runners, and we got a lot of registration out of free. The idea is that running need to be promoted. So we got from a people interiors remotes of the people joining free of cost, and they also don't understand a lot of data submission things. They don't understand about how to put up click a screenshot and put it there, how to download the Strava. I think I am the one who has made Strava downloaded in more than thousands of people mobile, and make them explain about that. So the idea is that, how are you bringing those people into the running commitment? I am a coach first, organizer later, right? So my idea is how I am giving that service to the runners. And I am also planning, when we do virtual run, we look it from the perspective of that. So it's not about only about the money making as an organizer. we do 4 free runs, absolutely free runs, where a lot of people joins in, and the services are the same which we do with the paid service. So these are few of the points I wanted to highlight at the beginning. Hello.
Thank you very much, Rahul. Very nice summary. Very nice to, of you to summarize the points and this. Radha, I want to have your views. You all have done only on-ground events. You all are the traditional purist, and Coach Rahul Sharma is the other end of the virtual bridge. So I want to hear your views about, as an on-ground event organizer. What do you think about going virtual, not going virtual, whatever?
Thank you, Venkat. Thanks for letting me participate in this discussion. It was very insightful, actually. Your PPT gave us ideas on what are the different aspects of virtual events that we should actually be looking into. And in fact, as part of Dream Runners in Chennai, we have been organizing races, as you know, every year. And we are only familiar with road racing, and there's nothing else that we are aware of. And it is nice to hear somebody like Rahul Sharma talk about virtual marathons that he's been conducting for so many years. We would definitely like to connect with him to get further details on how to go about getting into virtual racing, because that is something that we cannot shy away from given the current situation. So that seems like the way to go. With the fate of road racing being so uncertain, and we have always only looked at runners lined up in start line, and we have had registrations close to about 5,000 every year, and we have had to cap at 5,000 because we have not been able to accommodate beyond that number. And we are used to looking at runners lining up at the corals shoulder to shoulder, which may never happen again for a very long time. The entire race ecosystem and the whole thing being so different now, we have a lot of questions in our mind on how to go about conducting a virtual marathon. And this is something that we've been discussing for a while now. And we have also had requests from our sponsors on taking this abroad, taking this marathon abroad. And so we were looking at how to, as you know, our race starts in Basinagar in Alcott School, and we have 5,000 runners lined up there. Now with virtual racing, and with most of our participants being from Chennai, local to Chennai, about 70% of the participants being local to Chennai, if we open up the marathon for a virtual event, unless we specify that there is a large window of say 100 hours, we are still going to end up having people crowding at Basinagar, for example. So how are we going to evade that kind of a situation? So that's one of the questions that we have. I don't know the kind of tracking app that a virtual marathon could probably have, because the data in these GPS enabled devices can actually be edited. You can go into your Garmin data and edit your pace, for example, or the distance or the time. So how much reliable are these information when it comes to coming up with your rankings? So is there a phone app that we can probably develop and share with the runners, and encourage them to carry their phone with them, and have an uneditable statistics available, run stats available? So that is something that we are also contemplating. And what about the dates? Is there a wide window that we should give, a smaller window? What are the pros and cons? If in the Indian conditions, how viable is it to come up with a specified route? For example, we say, we identify a 21-kilometer route, and we put up, say, timing mats along the course. And we give a big window to the runners to participate in. Is it going to be safe to put up the mats, first of all, day and night out there, right? Or can we have CCTV out there? So, these are the practical difficulties that we are mulling over. We are trying to come up with some ideas on how to go about these things. So any suggestions, any brainstorming sessions that we could have will really be helpful for us.
Sure. I can arrange a separate call on that, from this. And we can definitely take it forward. yes, there are many issues and there are many points. We can go through all of them, explore various aspects of the situation, and then take a decision about that. We have some questions going forward. Kevin is asking me, how is there greater brand engagement? So, for example, if the Comrades was going to be run in South Africa, it would have been 18,000-19,000 runners in South Africa. But now Comrades is going to be run everywhere, and there are 25,000 people who are there. So as it is, the number of participants have engaged with the brands, so the number is increasing there. Because these numbers are increasing, there is a lot of virtual programming that is being done around the virtual run. For example, in one event that we know of, which is being in the planning stage, is that they want to do a virtual run anywhere across this, but kind of tied that up with a virtual entertainment engagement module. So people can run at the same time, they can be at home, they can do activities, and over a period of time, various artists will come, they can see the channel. So they're creating a virtual instead, I will not call it a television, a digital channel for that event on that day. So there are more opportunities to engage, because you've got freed up so many resources. It's all imagination, and creativity is the limit when it comes to that. So therefore, the brand engagement will always increase. It will never be as intense as the on-ground engagement in the in the traditional way. But there are ways to virtually engage with the brand. Is my answer to Kevin Berra. Thanks for asking that question. Kevin, do you want to say anything? I mean, you can unmute yourself. I've allowed everybody to unmute themselves.
I have another question for Rahul. Running has always been associated with, it's always been treated as a community event, correct? Now, how exciting will it be for runners to run the same marathon as a virtual event where there is no chance of racing? Do you actually see a drop in the number of registrations? I know that you mentioned some 10,000 plus in one of your events, but if we want to keep the same set of runners engaged, the ones who are regular participants with us for the past 10 years, what do you think we should keep in mind?
So there is the social aspect of running, and today a lot of the social has become virtual. Facebook has done away with with all the gossip that we should have over phone calls and whatever else, or meeting for tea example. Okay, work from home has made we have every day in the evening a meeting that we call Chai Pe Charcha. So everybody comes and does gossip every day in the evening at 5:30 when we close the day. So there are virtual. They will never be as good as the original, but there are virtual equivalents to the original. People will still want to go. I mean, I'm still longing to go and run with everybody together and have that bonding, because we're all social animals. We as human beings are social animals. We want to go out and meet. We want to this. That is why we had festivals. We have so many things that are meant to get people together. But that is the reality of the situation. You can't do anything about it, and you can only recreate that in a artificial way, which can never be as good as the original thing. But that's it. Okay. So the next question is from Syed says there are technical issues. Will you be recording? Yes, we are recording the part of the meeting from when the co-panelist came in, and the presentation is of course going to be shared. Okay. So Shiva says indoor runs are more credible because the data for an activity in treadmill mode cannot be edited. So Shiva, I mean, I will not go into that, but there is something called calibration of the treadmill, and that can also be played around with, and treadmills need to be calibrated well, and that has to be done for a record setting. And to take off on what Radha said, if anybody knows XML, DTD schemas, they can go into the GPX file, which is an XML file, and edit the GPX file. And I can show as if I ran Boston. And forget going and editing. There are apps that simulate as if you cycled in Central Park or cycled in Boston, when actually you may be cycling in Bombay. So that is possible, and therefore you can never use, my belief, you can never use the GPS data. Again, whether it comes from an app that you build on the phone, because even that data will ultimately be exported into a GPX file or an XML file that has to be there. So a virtually recorded event will never have the integrity of data as a on-ground event, because there is so much that you do on-ground. It's like course measurement, what you actually measure with the cycle and with the tape, and you all have seen what I've done in Chennai. You can never measure through the GPS thing. There will be some leeway in that. Dinesh perhaps says needs to leave. Syed, what is the best and accurate app you suggest for walkers? I mean, best I cannot say, but accurate is only as accurate as the GPS. And I've got blog posts where I bring out why the GPS can never be accurate, and there are various reasons. That's the limitation of the technology. Okay, so it can never be accurate. Mano Rodrick says, what happens if there's a fatality during a virtual run? Who would be responsible? The participant would be responsible. He will sign off everything. He will say that he will adhere to social distancing norms, etc., etc., etc. And there is no obligation on the organizer to take part of the medical facility, because the virtual run is like supposing you went for a training run. I mean, MRR does a Bandra to NCPA training run. Who's responsible? Everybody has to be responsible for themselves. So there is no medical liability in a virtual run, because there's no medical arrangement in a virtual run. Vivek,
sir, I have a couple of points.
Yes, Vivek, come in.
Sir, a couple of points, like the cons, what we discussed. I think we forgot at one point that we are just discussing as a part of recreational runners. But the cons would be, there are a few athletes who live on the prize money which they get from the on-road events they run. Point one, that. And point two is like the big organizers, like Kevin is here, like ProCam, who have employed a big scale of people just to organize the events. So I think all the route management and whatever is done, the timing shift guys, so there will be a lot of what I can call a virtual unemployment. So that will be created for the people who are happening. So like a runner, and the third point will be like Rahul said, the people from background people who have never run, who have never. So I can't understand that. First of all, how digitally we will reach to them if they don't know how to use a Strava. So how do they know the event is happening?
So I will answer Vivek this. Yes, any shifting economic paradigm will result in some people getting hurt and some. When the BPO industry came to India, a lot of people got unemployed in the US. And people have to accept it and change their jobs and do whatever it is. Today, journalism, 50% of journalism is virtual. People don't have those jobs don't exist. So this change is going to happen, and organizations and employees will have to be nimble, will have to be flexible. At U2 Can Run, we are trying to adapt to the situation. In March, 10 of our events got cancelled in about 2 weeks. They just dropped. There is no income till October. So, we are also, all of us are trying to survive, and that is going to be an accepted fact of life. Competitive runners not getting prize money, yes, that is going to happen. What about athletic associations? Today, athletic associations started getting money which they never saw in their lives, because they all became qualifiers. So the qualifier, you have to go to an athletic association. They started charging whatever they want to charge, delivering services of a questionable nature, but their bank started filling up. Now, when everything becomes virtual and there are not that many qualifiers and not that many on-ground events, what is going to happen to them? So there is going to be an impact, there is going to be a fallout, and that has to be taken with the stride, and people have to adapt, and people have to live with it. I mean, there is nothing that can be done. Last question regarding marketing. Yeah, even people hear about it. There are various channels to reach out to them. Social media is not the only channel. There are so many non-digital channels by which you can reach out, and people will come and take part, and they will seek help. I remember the initial days when we were doing Satara. People from the villages used to come and register. They were never familiar with a computer. They never wanted a form. And we wanted to go digital because the paper form was resulting in many mistakes. So there is this transitioning issues that will happen. So that will have to be bored with it. Rahul, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, the question I would like to answer over here is that those people, those who are in the villages, they are very good in terms of TikToks and all those kind of stuff. So internet has got a reach over there, but not in terms of using that technology for their running and the other stuff. So they are learning those steps. So it's a process of learning where we are integrating and helping them up to upscale their knowledge on the internet and giving them Strava and all those stuff. So we keep on getting a lot of requests for that, and I think internet has reached to the villages level, and they are pretty good in terms of preparing a TikTok videos and all those stuff. So only thing is we need to make them healthy through the Strava app. That's I want to add here.
Thank you, Rahul. That is a very nice yes. Thank you. Tarun is asking a question. Since the real events are expected to start sooner or later, will the virtual runs still exist or will they fade away? I personally think that the virtual runs will not go away. People have tasted something different. Organizers have tasted something different. Brands will then follow and draw some value from virtual events, and they will not go away. The market will get divided between good virtual events and good on-ground events. The long tail, that is the C category events, whether they are on-ground or whether they are virtual, will disappear. And in a way, it is good because the quality events will survive, which is desirable, in a way. Whether on ground or virtual, there will be quality events that will survive. That is my take, but they will not fade away. Okay, so that's my answer. Radha, you want to add anything?
I think we'll have to come up with some norms and guidelines which runner community across India can adapt. That will definitely help organizing virtual events, and enable all groups to comply by certain rules. I think that should be there. Somebody has to put that in place.
Sure, very good idea. There's a question from Leena. How reasonable is it to charge for registration fees, considering now that the participant may be walking in the park, down their house, or even indoors confined to their homes? Yes, Leena, the cost structure of an on-ground event, believe it or not, is highly subsidized today. Okay, there is a huge amount of expenditure, and most events that are about 3,000, when we did a study, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, they cannot be conducted if there is no significant sponsor. And Radha will as a treasurer of Dream Runner, she will this, and as the event becomes bigger, the component of the sponsor component is always much larger than the registration component. As the events become bigger. Okay. So for example, if we went to Mumbai Marathon, if in Dream Runners it is 50-50, say 50% sponsorship money, 50% registration. In Mumbai Marathon, it may be like 80-20, something like that. So the registration fees in the events never really met the complete cost of conducting the event. It was always sponsored by the sponsor, it was subsidized by the sponsor. So that is the thing. In a virtual event, many of those costs start dropping, but there is still a cost of servicing the entire event. There's a cost of the back office. There's a cost of doing the runner's gratification. There may be some direct deliverable costs like T-shirt and medals. So that will have to be borne. Whether it will get subsidized by sponsors or not is an emerging economic model that will emerge. But yes, some registration fees will have to be charged. There may be a charity involved, and some money may be going to the charity. So yes, and people are paying. We had an event which charged 500 rupees, and people paid 500 rupees. It was a sellout event. People didn't mind paying for it. So that is the answer. Anirudh has a question from Nasik. Thank you for asking, Nina. Earlier, virtual runs were sent as a novelty. Now they are likely to become commonplace. Need to provide strong USP 100%. Anirudh, if they don't have that USP, if you don't have a good brand name backing that virtual event, virtual events will come and die even faster. Because we had another event that didn't do well at all because the organizer didn't really push the event very well. So we are seeing virtual runs will come and burn out themselves faster and die. On-ground events will also die this year there were 1,300 events last year in our country. For those who don't know, in RaceSmart, we have been able to capture all the data. And we feel that about 500, 600 of those events will not ever happen again. They will take the COVID as an excuse and they will fold up and they will do something else. So yes, they will have, and like anything in life, to succeed, you have to have a strong value proposition, otherwise they won't succeed. Prashant Kotari has a question. Virtual runs are good for every runner who cannot go out and also have feeling of getting participated in big brand runs. Yes, exactly. I mean, I joined I'm doing the Comrades Run tomorrow because I can never go to Comrades. You know, I mean, it's nice to feel that I'll get a medal and a t-shirt. So I'm doing it. Okay. Amit Mehta, thank you very much. Very insightful. Yes, thank you very much. I'm glad you came and attended. Omkar Deshpande, any details on how an app would help? Custom app which would be secure, measure distance. My answer is app or no app, as long as it relies on the GPS signal from the sky, it can never be secure. Because the signal, take Tata Sky. Why do the Tata Sky signals fail? Why do you not get coverage when there is monsoon? Because there's a cloud cover. There's something called diffraction that happens, and it can never be accurate. Okay, so whether it's an app or whether it's a GPS that or customer, ultimately drawing from the GPS chip that is embedded into the phone. Okay, Hiral is saying, I am somehow not able to unmute myself, but what I want to tell Kevin is that now the horizon of branding can be increased, keeping in mind we can actually cater to a larger audience with a virtual event. The one plus point of a VR is that it becomes virtual. The sponsor servicing can be benefited, showing a larger reach. Okay, so Kevin, that is the answer for you. Manohar has a question. What happens if there is a fatality? We answered that. What about the responsibility of water support, en route support, on the route? Anirudh is asking, virtual runs typically are self-supported. You go, you support yourself, you have water. If some good people come and put water stations, that's all right. But as an organizer, the virtual run will not provide that support. Okay, that is generally the rule that is there. Nikhil is asking if there's an outdoor run which can be a marked course, even if they're spread over a few days, it will be difficult to maintain social distancing. Yes, it will all depend upon how many runners have registered, how big the course is, when they arrive. So the density that is there for social distancing will get breached. Okay, in that case, one of the organizers will be liable for pushing for crowding on that particular marked course. Yes, the organizer should take into account that. I would say morally he should take into account the fact that he should not register more people than what the social distancing norms can permit on that route. Because it's not a question about organizing the event. It's not a question about what the public health authorities are doing. Ultimately, we are promoting running for good health. And good health cannot be compromised by exposing them to a pandemic where social distancing norms are this. We have a social responsibility to see that it doesn't happen, and organizers who breach it, I will say, are not socially responsible. That is my take on it. Okay. Shivaya says 100 days of running is on the 6th edition this year. It has been a virtual event in all aspects: competition, leaderboard, data verification. Of course, there cannot be a substitute for an on-ground event. Virtual runs can be a force to keep people consistent with physical fitness. Nothing else. I agree with you. Virtual runs can serve a very strong purpose. Again, there's a debate about whether people can run for 100 days continuously or not. We will not go into that aspect of exercise physiology. But yes, point taken. Virtual runs do keep people consistent with their physical fitness. Nothing else. Rahul, you want to add anything to this aspect of virtual runs from 6 years? Because we are conducting many virtual runs.
Yeah. So my experience of last 3 years being in the virtual field is definitely virtual running keeps the runners engaged into various aspects. Definitely that 100 days, we are not speaking on that about the body physiology, because as I said, I am a coach first, then an organizer. So I believe there has to be a proper rest for a person to do that, rest and recover. But adding to the overall virtual event, yes, it keeps people engaged. It motivates them. I am currently doing one virtual challenge, right? And there is some very different challenge I have done is a climb challenge. Like, so you need to climb only a stairs. Right now in the monsoon, there is a lot of problem, people going out, and we need a social distancing. So at least climb, and which is a very good exercise. So it is not only about running. it will over a period of time, this entire events will convert into a virtual fitness momentum, right? It's not only about running, but it is overall about virtual fitness momentum. And how as an organizers, how deep we are into the science, how deep we think about the runners, their health, that will determine that what kind of an events we create. And that will determine about the consistency, because runners every day running, they love to run, but they also need to do their strength training, they need to do their flexibility training. And as an organizer, we are only here to give them a one running event and that's the end of it. No, we need to take care of their health and fitness at every aspect. Although we are virtual, but we are with them every moment of time through the app or through our intentions.
Coach, I cannot agree with you more. You have put exact words. Radha will also agree. As event organizers, as people in the running ecosystem, we are responsible for the health. We cannot do anything that is harmful to this. To that extent, there is the saying. I forget the Latin phrase. Do no harm. So, which is what the doctors are told. So, as coaches, we cannot do harm to our participants, and definitely, that is a point very well taken. Supriya, thank you very much. I'm glad you liked it. Tarun Valecha, thank you very much. Ramesh Ponduswamy from Coimbatore. Namaskaram, Tiger. Thank you, Venkat sir, for this session. Very timely and good spread of topics. Gave a good grounding on virtual events. Useful. Appreciate the time and trouble. Thank you very much. Syed Shilpa Bandusali. Thank you very much, Shilpa. I hope you are enjoying yourself in Dehradun. Thank you very much. There's a question. Only the phone number for virtual events indoor run. How can you prepare a leaderboard? See, you can prepare a leaderboard for anything. You can just say that the data is as received and put rankings. But does it have the integrity? Is there some weightage that you can give? The answer is no. But you can have a leaderboard for anything. You can do step challenge and have a leaderboard. I mean, putting people together and creating a leaderboard doesn't matter. But will it have the same gravity and rigor of a timed event on-ground leaderboard? The answer is it will not have. Okay. Sham Prakash from Titan, thank you very much, Sham. Leena, thank you. Sayed, is there a capping required in virtual events that the participant will be spread across? There will have to be a capping, like we answered to Nikhil. If we are responsible for social distancing, we cannot take more than a certain number of people at a certain time on a certain route. Okay, so there will have to be a spread out of participants across days, across start times, across routes, so that the virtual event can be done without breaching the social norm. So to that extent, yes, there will be a capping that will definitely come. But the cap is not like an on-ground cap because it's all time and geography concentrated in one place. There's a little bit more flexibility. Devyani Kadam, advocate, thank you very much. Really informative, useful session, wonderful experience. Anirudh, thank you very much. Prashant, thanks for the entire panelists for a very informative session. Thank you. Mano Rodriguez, during the on-ground event, there's a lot of spots for sponsors. How could one justify sponsors on the day of the run? Everything is going to happen virtual. So, sponsors can do virtual, gratification. We are talking of a virtual expo for virtual runs. So all those kind of virtual equivalents of on-ground will all start happening. Okay. Vivek says that we should call it physical distancing rather than social distancing. Yes, this etymology of the word was debated when we started, but the World Health Organization called it social distancing, and therefore we are stuck with social distancing as the term. So actually the term is physical distancing, and I do agree with that. Okay. Devyani would like to say thanks to Venkat sir and taking initiative in organizing such a wonderful session. Thank you very much. Tarun says, since data verification as of now seems to be the biggest roadblock, will it actually form a substantial substitute? Data verification is going to be challenging because it is virtual, and let me assure you that the GPS, no matter how accurate, is still miles high on the sky, and it can never measure a steel tape put down on the ground and a cycle being ridden on the tape. It can never measure to that. Okay, so it's a very crude example, but it can something virtual can never be as good as a real one. Mulay says thank you Venkat sir. Nikhil says thank you Venkat, Radha madam, coach. for the virtual day. Syed, it's a good initiative to have exclusive running app where we can unite the walkers on a single platform to build relationship. Many such apps exist. Okay, and everybody goes into a different group. Atay says, thank you very much. Thank you, Atay. Nikhil says, I'm hoping the recording for this webinar will be available on YouTube. Yes, it will be available. The presentation part I didn't record. I forgot actually. But from the time the panelist came and the Q&A is available, and the presentation we will share separately. Okay. Swapnil, thank you very much. Syed, thank you very much. Stay blessed. Thank you. Thank you. So we have finished with the Q&A. Any last words, Rahul, before we close up, and then I will give it to Radha for any last words.
I think we need to be responsible organizers of a virtual event, and we need to work on the 5 C's, which I put it very simply: creativity, commitment, consistency, customer service, and the content of our event, which will be value defined to our participants. And ultimately, whatever we are doing it for the participants, right? So with this attitude, if any organizers venture into virtual scenario, will be able to take it further and do it better. That's what I want to plan.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you very much. Radha?
Definitely calls for a recalibration of our idea of a marathon. We have to probably start thinking along the lines of a downsized, simplified, or a very different kind of an event going forward. And we are definitely looking forward to conducting one very soon.
Sure, we'll take it separately. Thank you very much. Thank you, Radha. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, everybody. You all have been a good audience. And thank you for all the thanks that you all have expressed in the chat window. It's a pleasure to do this. And we are hoping that, we do this because we want to put proper information. We want running to grow. And if it grows in a virtual way, why not? I'll just end this with one example, which I wanted to give. Until films came into our lives, which is about 60, 70, 80 years back, people used to go and see acting in theaters. Okay, so we used to go to Music Academy or Shanmukhananda or any theater, and people said acting means only in the stage it is acting. Because in a film, it is virtual, because there are takes after takes, and there can be CGI and animation and everything. And there's a lot of virtuality, which is never not really the actor. The actor is made to look like an actor when he's taken 5 takes. So actual acting is in the stage. And so there are many people who still believe that. But today we consume so much of electronic content, be it Netflix, be it television, be it Amazon Prime, and we don't see it as virtual. Our sense of acceptance also starts getting molded over a period of time. And I see that something like this is going to happen. We as human beings will adapt. We will increasingly go virtual. I'm told there's virtual dates nowadays. I don't know how it works, but that is what I read in the papers. And there will always be this thing about whether it will be actual like a date or not. But yes, that's where the world is going. So thank you very much to the virtual audience for this virtual webinar, virtual workshop conducted in a virtual medium about virtual runs. Thank you very much. Good night. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.